Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the top common mistakes that Ae92 owners and even non-Ae92 owners make when it comes to an Ae92. Now, if you are just tuning in for the first time, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more cool car content just like this one. Now, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Now, the common mistake on this list is not doing enough research, or even when it comes to not having enough info out there, it's coilovers and wheels. Okay, that's the number one mistake that we kind of make. It's either one or the other. When you have, aftermarket wheels, let's say you grab these bad boys, right? You throw them on your Ae92, you're like, hell yeah, let's do this. The problem is when you throw aftermarket wheels onto your Ae92 without knowing the offset sometimes, is it may not happen in the front, but in the rear, the offset's a little bit different. So when you change the wheels, it's a different offset, and that wheel's kind of like the inside of the wheel, like on the other side, it's gonna hit the strut. It's a different offset, so it's gonna rub against the strut, so you won't be able to run the beautiful wheels you just picked up for God knows how much money you just bought them for. So doing research on the offset on these Ae92s or being ready to get spacers for the rear is something you really gotta look at and make sure, because you just don't want to spend, thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars on wheels and then you can't even fit them. And the same goes for coilovers. When you go from stock suspension to coilovers, maybe those, wheels fit normally. Here's stock suspension, but when you go coilovers, it's even worse because the offset changes even more. So you're definitely going to need to run spacers on the car if you didn't need to do it before. So that's another thing you really got to do your research on. Got to make sure you have enough clearance when it comes to wheels. Now, the second common mistake that Ae92 owners do is running premium fuel on their Ae92. Now, this is more specific to the GTS, especially because they have 4AGEs. Now, you do not need to run premium fuel on your big port or small port 4AGE regardless. You don't need to run 90, 93, nothing crazy. You can run 87. That's stock what it usually needs. You don't need to go premium. You don't need to throw a bunch of high octane gas at the Ae92. It's not needed. It even says in the manuals and everywhere that these cars take regular, not premium gas. Now, if you want to run premium, you can, don't get me wrong. It's not gonna kill your car, it's not gonna do anything crazy. You might not even feel a difference. You probably won't. On my small port 4AGE, I did it before, didn't really feel a difference. In my big port 4AGE, my butt dyno, I guess, felt some difference. And it's pretty fun, pretty happy when I did it, don't get me wrong. You do not need to run premium in your Ae92 GTS, SR5, or any Ae92 for that matter, unless, you modified it with some crazy, turbo stuff. but anyway, that's the number two common mistake that a lot of Ae92 owners is they run premium fuel when they don't need to. You can, don't get me wrong, if you want to, cool, go ahead, but you don't need to. Now, the third common thing on this list, and not a lot of you do it, but I'm guilty of having to do it once at least, and it's breaking components on your Ae92. And don't get me wrong, let me elaborate. What I mean is, let's say you're working somewhere in the engine bay, you're like, this thing's so annoying to get to. Oh, let me just cut this hose, fuck it. It makes it a lot easier. I'll just replace this stupid rubber hose later, right? Oop, well, that rubber hose you just cut is discontinued, and now you have to fabricate a new different hose from a different car or whatever to make it work, because you kind of just broke a part that's not even being made anymore. You really got to be careful when it comes to Ae92. Some parts are just not made anymore. They're not found on Rock Auto. They're not found in eBay or Toyota dealers, whatever. So you kind of got to be careful of what you intentionally break, or even some of the parts that you accidentally break. When you're going onto a job, have the mentality of seeing if, those parts are still readily available, if you could source them, and if you could even replace them before you have to replace them later down the road. But be careful when it comes to tinkering on your Ae92. And the most common thing, whether you're Ae92 owner or not, is assuming that these cars are rear-wheel drive. I don't know why a lot of people think, non-Ae92 owners think these are rear-wheel drive, but they're front-wheel drive. I mean, I get it if you don't know the car, but most people, kind of assume that they're rear-wheel drive or that they are an Ae86. And now, rest assured, they're front-wheel drive, okay? They are not rear-wheel drive, okay? The last most craziest thing that I really just have to mention is, these people just, the common mistake is to be like, yeah, I'm a 2JZ swap it. Yeah, I'm gonna throw a RB26 into it. Yeah, I'm gonna throw, an LS. I mean, don't get me wrong, these things are possible, but they're not. They're not realistic. Like, a lot of people are like, I'm just gonna 2JZ rear-wheel drive swap my Ae92. And don't get me wrong, you can do it, but it's not practical and it's not really realistically something you're going to do. Let's be serious. It's a lot of work. You're going to cut into the firewall of the car, or most of the car is not even gonna be left, because you have to make so much room to make a rear-wheel drive engine and transmission fit into a car that's meant to be only front-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive cars have tunnels for the transmission. Front-wheel drive cars do not. So this is why you're not gonna see cars, 2JZs, LSs, RB26s, all-wheel drive engines, and crazy big engines in these cars. It's possible, you can do it. A lot of fabrication, anything is possible, but being realistic, no, you can't. Anyway, these are the top common mistakes that Ae92 and non-Ae92 owners do. If you have any that I missed, please be sure to comment them down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.